It seems like everyone on the internet is promoting gambling, from the biggest pop stars like Drake to journalists / commentators like DJ Akademiks. But people like Drake are just symptomatic of a bigger issue, and that is musicians, influencers, and everyone in between glorifying gambling to a susceptible audience. And to understand how it's gotten so big recently, let's take a look at one of the biggest culprits. In 2022, Drake partnered up with the online casino Stake. He said in an Instagram ad back in March of 2022, "It was inevitable, Drake and Stake have come together. I'm going to be announcing a date for an upcoming live event where I play to win some real money and give it all to you, because what's better than sharing the love with my people?" I think it's kind of funny he said a real money as if that's not what he was doing before, but we'll get to that later. Stake said alongside Drake's announcement, "Drake has been an active member of our global community for a few months now, so the next step and natural evolution in the relationship was for us to collaborate on a stream. We share the same love for crypto, gambling, and community, and are like-minded fans of the technology and culture at the forefront of this movement." Since then, Drake has been posting his bets on all types of online casino games and sports bets all over his Instagram page. Now, this may not seem like much, but when you take into consideration that Drake has 144 million followers and regularly gets millions of likes on all of his posts, that is a great place for marketing. Not only that, but he also has Stake's Instagram tagged right at the beginning of his bio, right in front of other sponsorships, his own brands, and his own fan page. This is prime real estate in the digital marketing age, and I cannot imagine how much they're paying him. Actually, I mean, I can. We'll talk about that too. He's even posting whole video ads for Stake on his Instagram page.
Maltese. Oh, Dios mío. Yes?
Yes, sir. Hello.
And if you thought that was crazy, just wait until you see what he bought to gamble on.
Yeah. Oh.
Drake also does entire gambling streams on Kick, which we will talk about more later, but I'm sure you guys have seen some clips from these streams.
I'm sitting down for today's stream. I rolled my ankle yesterday. I'm keeping it real with you. That's the bad news. Good news is I had 16 off the bench. We caught the dub. W's in the shot. W's in the shot.
Also, I just realized Drake's alter ego, Anita Max Win, is actually I Need a Max Win.
My alter ego, Anita Max Win. Anita Max Win.
Very creative, and I cannot believe he turned that into an entire character for his tour. To be fair to Drake, this partnership isn't entirely out of character. For example, he lost a $60,000 bet to French Montana back in 2016. He lost a $10,000 bet to Quavo after Quavo made a half-court shot. And apparently he lost $200,000 gambling one night in Atlantic City. So it sounds like Drake isn't too good at gambling. However, I found an article from November of 2023, and I'm not sure how accurate it is, but they said that they checked out Drake's Stake profile, Deep Pocket 6. I tried to check it out, but Stake isn't legal here and I don't have a VPN, so sorry. But the website said that Drake had won a total of $101.9 million and lost a total of $39.5 million. Canadian dollars, that is. After all of this, even Kendrick Lamar called out Drake's gambling problem in their scuffle earlier this year. These are just a few examples to show that Drake likes to gamble, but I mean, hey, if you got money to blow, who cares? But Drake doesn't have $1 billion to burn, and that's where the problem arises. I mean, Yahoo estimates his net worth to be $250 million, which is usually never accurate, but even if you 10 times that, he's not going to gamble away nearly half of his net worth. The reason that Drake was able to gamble $1 billion in less than a year is not because he had all that cash, but because he was playing with house money. See, what happens is Stake gives Drake money to play with. Drake posts his bets, doing these low-key adverts to his hundreds of millions of fans, and people get interested, especially when he's winning large amounts of money.
We need something crazy. We need to see like at least a 20, 30 bag on his balance. Get. Yes! Oh my God! Yes! Yes! Let's go! Let's go! We're blessed. We're tipping. We're tipping.
Now, I don't think I need to go into science to explain how this works, but from my personal experience, and I'm sure some of you out there, when you see someone win $17 million on a bet, it kind of gets you a little excited. Maybe you want to bet some money yourself. Watching people gamble is definitely pretty fun. I mean, I love watching my friends spend hundreds of dollars at the slot machines, and when they win, it's even more exciting. But at the end of the day, the casino always wins, and good proof of that is the fact that Drake lost all of that money right afterwards. Regardless, there are a few reasons why Drake's partnership with Stake is shady. Starting off with Stake's overall shadiness. Stake is the online gambling casino that Drake is partnered with. It was created by Eddie Craven and Bijan Tehrani in 2017, two developers who had just created a company in Australia called EasyGo. EasyGo is a company that develops online casino games. Eddie and Bijan had previously created an online dice game called Prime Dice in 2013. Apparently they got into gambling through RuneScape, which is pretty funny. What's even funnier is that Eddie's dad, Jamie, is a director at EasyGo, and apparently was banned from working in financial services for 5 years and jailed for 6 months. Regardless, they launched Stake in 2017 through a license in Curacao. This is very common for a lot of online casinos to get licensed through a random country, because in a lot of other countries like the United States, for example, it's not entirely legal or it's heavily regulated. So for a workaround, you just fly down to Curacao, set up shop, and you're good to go. But it was pretty funny when confronted about their headquarters, one of their partners, Trainwrecks, got kind of cooked.
Trainwreck, this is their headquarters, bro, on Google Maps. This is where...
Give me a second here.
No, this is important. This is where Stake Casino's located, you guys.
Oh my god. See,
how have we gone from the argument of kids promoting and catering to kids, and now we're talking about crypto? Oh,
this is the
you got like
can you say 100% confidently that this is not a scammer business?
What?
Train? I mean, honestly, can you? Because
anyway, by 2021, Stake had 50 billion bets, over 100,000 players, and was estimated to be worth $1 billion. And I can't even imagine what those numbers have climbed to since then, after having people like Drake sign on as partners. On top of that, Stake has also started sponsoring UFC fighters, soccer players, F1 teams, and many more big names. But you may be wondering, if online gambling is so illegal or so heavily regulated, at least by most major countries, then how do people do it? Well, it's actually really easy. All you need to do is make an account, put a fake address, and use a VPN, which you can find for free or very cheap with ease. As for funding the account, you just gotta buy some Bitcoin, which adds another layer of anonymity, whatever, as to where the money is coming from location-wise. So basically, it's pretty easy to gamble online. I mean, you gotta jump through a couple hoops, but a lot of people think that it's worth it. You don't even have to go to the casino, the bar, or a gas station to waste your money. You can do it all from your phone. And making gambling this much more accessible most likely will cause some issues. Plus, sports betting is now legal in a lot of states in the US, which Stake has also taken advantage of. Sports betting has become one of the most common forms of betting nowadays. I mean, look at this graph. In the US, they went from less than $1 billion in revenue in 2019 to about $11 billion in revenue in 2023. And that's just revenue for the legal casinos. Apparently, there was about $120 billion bet on sports in 2023 by Americans. Again, this is legal, so like if you're using a VPN and betting on some random website, they don't even count that, and a lot of people do it. And I'm sure plenty of you guys have heard people talking about parlays and bets a lot more often than you did 6 years ago. According to Business Insider, they suggest that sports betting is just a gateway drug to real gambling. So when you're sports betting on Stake, it's much more likely that you're going to switch over to their online casino and just start playing slots. Whereas if you weren't sports betting in the first place, the likelihood goes down a ton. And the sports betting websites know this. Leah Nauer, the director of the Center for Gambling Studies at Rutgers University, said, "These companies do not make anywhere near as much money off sports wagering as they do with online casinos, but they do get their foot in the door with the sports wagering. This is why a lot of these sports betting companies have been buying up or creating their own online casinos. So Stake, a much less regulated site that you have to get to with a VPN, is definitely a little bit problematic or shady. And that's why this video is brought to you by FanDuel. That was a joke, by the way, I'm kidding. Regardless, after years of gambling there and partnering with them, Drake is pretty tight with the owners, at least when he's winning.
Shout out to Eddie, I guess. Shout out to Bijan. Shout out to everybody at Stake, all the employees working hard. We do appreciate you, honestly. All jokes aside, all trolls aside, we do appreciate you. I know you guys go hard to give us an experience, even if it makes us broke.
And people don't like Drake's association with Stake for a variety of reasons. First of all, the gambling streams I mentioned earlier have been extremely controversial for a while now. It used to be really big on Twitch, with platforms like Stake being some of the top dogs paying streamers like XQC and Adin Ross big bucks to promote their website, just like they are with Drake.
So now slots are basically bigger than ever this year. Sites like Stake are pumping in millions, tens of millions to get the top streamers to gamble on their website. Like basically people like XQC and Trainwrecks are full-time casino employees essentially. And basically they're part of the reason that slots are now a top 10 category on Twitch. Literally, they've had like 45 million watch hours just this month. And I know that number just seems impossibly huge. So let's compare it to this. Fortnite got a similar number of watch hours this month.
So because of this, Twitch banned gambling, and Stake had to find another way to brainwash people into gambling on their site. So Stake's owners decided to launch their own streaming platform called Kick, which is much less regulated, so that they could have their guys like Drake, Adin Ross, Trainwrecks, and others all watch them gamble on Stake. And there's this whole debate about whether or not Kick is about just gambling, and I don't think it is, but it definitely is a huge marketing space. I mean, I just opened up the website, and the slots and casino category is one of the first things that pops up. And don't even get me started on how much crazy, not to mention terrible stuff happens on their platform that they just allow. So the whole streaming gambling controversy is a very big thing, especially since a lot of people watching these websites like Twitch and Kick are pretty young. I think YouTuber Karen Nicole put it well when she said,
"What's crazy to me is how distorted a view of reality these gambling streams create. At one point, Adin Ross is down like $1 million. $1 million? You could live off of that the rest of your life? It makes it so the wins and the losses, they don't feel real. You forget that it's even money in the first place. That makes the wins look enormous too."
Another issue people have with Drake is that some people think that his games are rigged. This is a huge controversy with online gambling sites because it's hard for them to actually prove that their games are random. Some people show the code and do other things like that, but at the end of the day, you never know if the game is actually rigged or not. So some people think that the games are rigged in Drake's favor so that when they see him winning a bunch, they think that they can win a bunch too. There's no evidence for this at all. There's no cold hard proof, but I'm sure we can all agree that it definitely is in the realm of possibility.
I guarantee you it's repeat A. I feel it. Repeat A. I know it. Get around, and there it is. What did I say? What did I fucking say? What did I say? What did I say? What did I say? I guarantee you it's repeat.
Also, the fact that his profile supposedly says he's up like $60 million is a little bit suspicious. And then the main controversy out of this whole thing probably is that Drake is playing with house money. The most obvious yet worst part, because they'll never admit it, is the fact that Drake isn't even losing his own money. He's actually lost so many absurdly large bets that they started saying it's a curse if Drake bets on you, which again in turn just gets Stake more publicity. But the problem with Drake using house money is that when people see him so confidently betting these large amounts of money and then winning a ton of money on these highlights, it just makes gambling look so much more appealing. It makes you think that, hey, I can play some fun games on the internet and become a millionaire, which simply is not true. And of course, Drake is making a ton of money from this partnership. Apparently, when they started out together, Stake was paying him $100,000 a year, which seems way too low. I don't even know if this article got it right. But recently, I saw multiple sources online saying Drake is getting like $100 million a year, which I think is a lot more believable, especially when you consider someone like Adin Ross, for example, who's only a fraction of Drake's popularity, but he was getting like $4 million a month. The amount of money in marketing is absolutely insane. So when a casino, which is super profitable, is working with one of the biggest artists in the world, $100 million doesn't seem like that much. Because of things like this, many people have issues with Drake and others promoting gambling all the time like it's nothing, especially when it's a shady cryptocurrency online casino that you need a VPN for. I mean, even Pokimane denounced Drake, which is just tragic.
When I heard Drake was involved with Stake, my heart broke, I'm gonna be honest. Because I've been a little Drake fangirl, you know, the Canadian blood running through my veins. And I still love his music, but now I don't love him as much as a person. I used to be such a Drake fangirl.
Drake is f***ing sold out
Ever
to
since the steak,
So you
I
have
was
a problem
you're
with all
showing
that?
your true colors.
I hate Drake.
As a Canadian, we're disowning you.
What's really funny about this is that Drake saw this and said, I watched the clip, what's she mad about? What is it, the braids? Regardless, with all of these eyes on Drake and steak, it has undoubtedly brought steak a ton of new customers. And like I said earlier, the gambling industry in general has been blowing up a ton lately. But it's not like Drake himself is responsible solely for all of these new gamblers, because there are a lot of other musicians and celebrities involved. Like I mentioned earlier, the gambling craze ramped up in 2018 when the Supreme Court removed the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, which led to around 40 states now allowing sports betting. For a while, it was mostly athletes working with these gambling companies, which definitely makes more sense, but quickly they expanded into other areas. During the 2023 NBA playoffs, DraftKings teamed up with Rick Ross, Fat Joe, and the Locks to create The Game, a song that, according to them, was meant to symbolize basketball and the broader hoops culture.
Pure satisfaction inside of the action. You see it in the games, you feel it in the cap.
In reality, the whole song was just a double entendre for gambling. Ironically, they even make the subliminal messaging not so subliminal by flashing these sports statistics and odds on the screen in a way that kind of reminds me of Mason's brainwashing in the Black Ops 1 campaign. But that wasn't it. DraftKings later put out an ad campaign with the goal of crossing over from sports to music fans. They collaborated and put out official versions of songs with people like Dave East and others where DraftKings is directly referenced. Fresco's DraftKings song even appeared in an NBA 2K soundtrack. But DraftKings is not the only culprit. Nicki Minaj partnered up with a gambling company called MaximBet, but it shut down pretty quickly, and as Fader said, it demonstrates how fly-by-night the industry can be. Another good example of the normalization of gambling is Drake's henchman DJ Akademiks, who for whatever reason puts a little steak advert on every single photo he posts on Twitter, despite it always being unrelated. And what's funny about this is that he always gets community noted for undisclosed ads, which are against Twitter's terms of service. For some reason, there's also a bunch of other random Twitter pages that just throw a steak watermark on the bottom too. I really don't understand what's going on, but that's just the wave. And it's not just these guys. Even Cameron and Mace signed an 8-figure deal with Underdog Fantasy, saying that they will promote it on their show for the next 18 months. Post Malone did a commercial with Hard Rock International, with the narrator saying, you can win big on Hard Rock Bet with a little bet or a Post Malone size bet. And you don't need to know everything about every sport. You could just throw your money away and we'll gladly take it. That's basically what he said. And while commission shoutouts are nothing new in the music industry, what's different is that with gambling, they're pushing a product of like games and sports rather than a brand or an image in general. With this product, gambling, being so addictive and risky, there's been a lot of people who've been raising some red flags. The problem is somewhat similar to celebrity endorsed crypto projects, which are also basically gambling, because all of the risk is pushed on the consumer while both the company and the celebrity profit. And it isn't just artists doing promotion ads or songs for these websites. We even got rappers investing in these companies. In 2021, Jay-Z announced that he invested $350 million into the sports-based organization, which recently started a gambling branch, Fanatics. Jay took things even further that year by trying to open a casino with 76ers co-owner Michael Rubin and others in New York. However, some of you may remember Michael Rubin as White Diddy. And that group is still actually trying and just put in a $250 million bid to open a Caesars Palace Times Square casino. And I think this makes a little more sense than people like Post Malone doing a gambling ad because Jay-Z is a businessman. But still, the crossover is pretty crazy. And like I said, a lot of people are upset. It's gotten to the point where places like Ontario are even creating laws to ban gambling advertisements featuring celebrities who would likely appeal to minors. This is Drake's homeland, and I think I know a few people who would say that he fits that category. Regardless, at the end of the day, most people's issues with Drake and other big musicians, celebrities, or influencers promoting gambling is obviously the risk of gambling addiction. It's fairly easy for some to get addicted to gambling, which could ruin your life and your finances. Apparently, there was even this guy who sued Steak, claiming that he was a gambling addict and said it was super easy to get on the site even though it wasn't allowed in his area. He also said that he asked Stake to deny him access to the website when he realized it was a problem, and he was still able to access it. So the rise of online gambling coupled with the pandemic has definitely caused an increase in online gamblers. And according to Yale Medicine, about 1% of Americans are addicted to gambling. As more and more celebrities, influencers, musicians, and other popular people continue to promote these unregulated websites, it's likely that it could get worse. So I guess the question is, should people like Drake and websites like Stake personally be held responsible, or is the decision ultimately on the consumer? That's for you guys to decide. If you like this video about Drake and Stake and how the whole industry operates, you might like my video about what happened to Vivo, where I take a look into the complexities of the music industry and why Vivo failed. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Maybe leave a like or even consider subscribing. But again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.